तकरीबन 7,000 unions हैं, but the collective bargaining agents who can really communicate to the government and the employer, they are less than 1,400. Everyone who works is a worker, irrespective of their place of work. Labor is not a commodity. All labor should have dignity. They should have access to fundamental right at work, the right to unionize, right to collective bargaining, freedom from child labor, forced labor, the right to equal treatment, social security or social protection, a productive income to give a decent life to himself or herself. We have now 8.6 million in child labor. Yes, this is a reality that the female labor force participation in this country is one of the lowest.
Hello everyone, welcome to MT Out Loud, जहाँ बस बात कर दो. My name is Aliya Agha. आज का हमारा टॉपिक लेबर राइट्स और लेबर लॉज के ऊपर है. सुनने में तो ये बहुत बोरिंग लगता है, लेकिन ये हमारी फाउंडेशन है पूरी इकोनॉमी की. चाहे फॉर्मल सेक्टर हो या इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर हो, वर्कर और लेबर दोनों जो हैं वो एक ज़रूरी हिस्सा है इस इकोनॉमी का. पाकिस्तान इज़ वन ऑफ दोज कंट्रीज वेयर देयर आर डजन्स ऑफ लेबर लॉज. देयर इज़ कंसोलिडेशन, बट द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज़, आर वी रिकग्नाइजिंग देयर राइट्स? With us today, we have an expert who has worked on Punjab Labour Code as well as Sindh Labour Code. Iftikhar Ahmad Sahab is a comparative labour law expert with masters in industrial and labour relations from Cornell University, a Fulbright Scholar, and he is heading the Centre for Labour Research in Pakistan. Welcome, Iftikhar Sahab, to MT Out Loud podcast.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Unions are very infamous. What is a collective bargaining agent?
Unions are there at a workplace to support workers. What a union is that they are all workers in a collective way. They are raising their voices collectively. Once a union is registered properly and it has won an election in the sense that if there are two unions, उनके दरमियान कोई इंतखाबात होंगे, उनमें से जो जीतेगी उसको आप collective bargaining agent कहेंगे. Why is collective bargaining agent important? Because that is the union which has the right to represent all the workers in that workplace before the government as well as before the employer. So a collective bargaining agent is very important. लेकिन उसके साथ एक इशू है that I want to highlight. In Pakistan जो हमारे पास डेटा है वो ये शो करता है कि तकरीबन 7,000 unions हैं, but the collective bargaining agents, those really who can really communicate to the government and the employer, they are less than 1,400. So what it means is that the remaining workforce might have unions, but they are not collective bargaining agents. And if they are not collective bargaining agents, they are not able to negotiate with the employer on workers' rights.
So historically, we have inherited many labor laws and labor codes.
Yes.
And for a very long time, Pakistan had not done anything to amend them, repeal them, or consolidate them. But somehow, slowly and gradually, with our international commitments, as Pakistan grew to be stronger with the exports and all, we have managed to somewhat consolidate our laws. Because I remember we were talking about this earlier, that when I started working as a lawyer, the thickest book in our chambers used to be for the labor laws.
Yes.
And we used to be super scared to go near it because they had so many references back and forth, and then too many loopholes.
Yes.
So even for lawyers, it was something daunting to address.
Yes.
So I'd like to know how has your organization collaborated with the government and with other international organizations such as ILO towards consolidation of the laws, labor laws in Pakistan?
There are more than 50 pieces of labor legislation to govern the labor market. And thanks to the 18th Amendment, now we have more than 200 pieces. Why? Because every province has its own pieces of labor nearly 50 pieces of labor legislation to govern the labor market in that province. And there has been a talk of consolidation, at least for the last 25, 26 years, because most of the amendments in the labor legislation in this country happened in 60s and 70s. But then afterwards, we don't see as much reforms. And then from 2000 onwards, in the year 2001, 2002, there was this thinking in the whole region, actually, in the whole region of South Asia, that labor legislation needs to be consolidated and it needs to be simplified. Because एक law को आप देखते हैं उसमें कुछ लिखा हुआ है, दूसरे law को जाके देखते थे कुछ और लिखा होता था. एक law में एक right था, दूसरे law में वही right आपसे छीन लिया जाता था. तो उसका बेहतर हल यही समझ आया कि we need to go for consolidation. And yes, the governments always had conferences on it, but nobody was willing to go through all these pieces of legislation and come up with a single draft. When we started working on this and we were asked to do it, and we held the first meetings in Punjab and Sindh, most people were suspicious. They said, yeah, we have seen it happening before, but yeah, we don't think there will be a draft. Or actually they thought that we were actually consolidating in the sense that we were just putting laws one after the other. And when I explained to them, okay, what we are trying to do is we are rewriting the labor legislation for the country or for that, मतलब जहाँ पे भी हम काम कर रहे थे पंजाब या सिंध में, तो what now we have in these two provinces, Punjab and Sindh, is a totally rewritten legislation in line with the international standards, our constitutional guarantees, as well as it covers all those sectors that are existing in this economy, including the platform workers even. I mean, I talk about platform workers a lot because they are the workers. I mean, home-based workers के बारे में हमें कहा जाता था कि हमें पता नहीं चलता कौन सा बंदा घर से काम कर रहा है. Domestic workers का भी पता नहीं चलता था. ख़वातीन किसी एक घर में काम करती, कोई बंदा मतलब कोई इंडिविजुअल भी किसी घर में काम करता है, we could not know their number. The platform worker, food panda rider. I mean, you go out of your house at 2 a.m., you see a food panda rider. I mean, and that is the worker, which is also visible to the government as well, because every single ride, every single food order that you get, there's a government tax on it. So government knows very well. They are the most visible of the informal economy workers. So what we tried to do is we have tried to cover all those workers which were never shown to the people, to the government.
So laws are made for humans. And if you look at it, labor laws apply to every human being. We all contribute for our economic benefit as well as to have a dignified life. There is a word called dignity of work, which ILO has coined. And that has, I think, the most significant element of any work.
Yes, actually, the work that we did behind that was this simple thought that, as you said, everyone who works is a worker, irrespective of their place of work. They could be in the house, they could be taking care of the family, they could be in an office doing some huge work that, yes, they can show off as well. But what the person doing at house is no less. It's equally comparable. To come back to your question of dignity of labor, there's a wonderful phrase from the ILO Constitution. It says, labor is not a commodity. And whatever kind of labor it is not a commodity. And then there also became a concept that when we say all labor should have dignity, what we mean is that they should have access to fundamental right at work. What we mean by fundamental rights are the right to unionize, right to collective bargaining, freedom from child labor, forced labor, the right to equal treatment, the right to work in a safe and healthy workplace, which is free from harassment. Similarly, the right to social security or social protection, that, I mean, if a person is doing work, they should have access to social protection if they lose their job or if they get sick. And a productive income, an income which is able to give a decent life to himself or herself, including their family. And And the fourth concept, which is very important for the dignity of work, is that there should be a social dialogue. What we mean by social dialogue is that at workplaces, people should be allowed to unionize. And by social dialogue with the government is that when the government is defining, for example, the minimum wage rates or defining anything for the people, they should be discussed. Individuals should be discussed that we are going to change this policy, how it's going to impact you.
You just spoke about child labor. Has Pakistan really gotten rid of it?
No.
I mean, there's a reality and there's a non-reality as well.
Yes. No, it's unfortunately, and I don't think we will ever be. And there's a reason for it. For example, the latest data from the child labor surveys that have been conducted in all the provinces in the last 5 years shows that we have now 8.6 million in child labor. It's a huge number. But then also look at this number that we are saying that there are 25 million children out of school. Then also look at this number that there are nearly 20 million youth which are neither in employment, education or training. So child labor, if you ask me, it's a situation which will go for a long time in this country because of the simple reason the general family size in the country is 6 people in the household. There's only a single person who's doing job. So there's always this pressure on the family and the individuals to allow their children to work.
Yeah.
What the law can do, what we try to do under the Punjab Labour Code is that we have set a reasonable minimum age for employment. I'll give you an example. Under the Constitution of Pakistan in 2010, the Article 25A was added, which says that a child has a right to compulsory education from the age of 5 to 16 years. On the other hand, the labor legislation said, एक बच्चा 14 साल एक दिन का जिस दिन हो जाए, वो कहीं पे जाके भी काम कर सकता है. This inconsistency allowed people to leave the school and go to work. What we try to do in the Punjab Labour Code is that कि हमने कहा 14 साल से 16 साल तक बच्चा बिल्कुल काम कर सकता है after the school hours and for a limited hours only. 3 से 4 घंटे, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं. इस पे कुछ लोगों का एतराज़ था कि आपने देखे बच्चों से आप काम करवा रहे हैं. But then the reality of this country is that we need to recognize that there will always be children working. What we can do is regulate it. We can ensure that they work for limited hours. क्योंकि आज तो वो 14 साल एक दिन का बच्चा 8 घंटे काम करता था, 10 घंटे काम करता था. But we have tried to do under this reform is that हमने कहा कि इसको आप 4 घंटे तक लिमिट करेंगे. स्कूल आवर्स में नहीं करवा सकते, कोई बच्चा भी स्कूल आवर्स में ना हो. तो ये मैं ये समझता हूँ कि तमाम जो हमारे सूबे हैं वहाँ पे भी अगर यही चीज होगी तो फिर शायद कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट आ जाए. बट चाइल्ड लेबर को खत्म करना शायद इट वुड बी इम्पॉसिबल.
लेकिन स्कूल आवर्स तो 2 टाइम के होते हैं, सुबह का भी होता है और इवनिंग आवर्स भी. तो व्हिच वन हैव यू रेफर्ड टू?
Yes, this is really important, especially in the case of this city, Islamabad capital territory. Yes, फिर उसमें यही होगा कि the child should have a card from the school showing कि मतलब वो किस टाइम पे स्कूल जाता है बच्चा. Yes. But there will always be people, I mean, who will do everything.
Right.
कि जो भी आप जितना अच्छा भी लॉ बना लें, उसमें कोई ना कोई खामी निकाल, लूप होल्स निकाल के उसको यूज करेंगे. जी. And what actually we tried to do under this reform in the Punjab Labour Code was that we have tried to close those loopholes.
Right.
Lekin yes, there will always be loopholes.
You know, when I was working with ILO, ये बात देखें, अब इंसान सेंसिटाइज किया जाता है नॉलेज से तो फिर अकल आती है. और हम क्योंकि कल्चरली इतने इनसेंसिटिव हो चुके हैं, चाइल्ड लेबर को एम्प्लॉय कर लेते हैं, छोटे बच्चे को, चाहे नैनीज अभी भी नज़र आती हैं. एंड यू नो इन वेरी एजुकेटेड फैमिलीज यू विल सी अ वेरी you know small child and a small little nanny. I mean, like that nanny is so small that I think if I was 8 years old and if somebody gave me something to look after, I probably would drop it. So I don't know how people trust the most valuable and precious thing with a child who's underage. Anyhow, but what I learned was, and it was shocking to me, that you employ one child and you take away the salary of an adult.
Yes.
अगर आप 20,000 रुपए एक एडल्ट को सैलरी दे रहे हैं,
Yes.
तो एक बच्चे को आप 6,000 रुपए देंगे, यानी कि उस फैमिली का आपने एडल्ट एम्प्लॉय नहीं किया,
Yes.
उसको 6,000 रुपए मिल गए,
Yes.
20,000 रुपए नहीं मिले.
Yes.
सो ये एक चीज है जो एक तरह से मेरा ख्याल में पब्लिक को अभी भी समझ नहीं आती है.
Yes.
And since you said there are so many children out of the school, we still feel that skill-based, life is better.
Yes.
बहुत से बच्चे मैकेनिक्स बन रहे होते हैं, इसी तरह से कारपेंट्री में आपको नजर आएंगे. आई मीन आप आम शहरों, बड़े शहरों में चले जाएं, तो इसमें आपने माशाल्लाह बहुत काम किया है लॉज के लिए. आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क यू कि लॉज तो हम बना लेते हैं, इंस्पेक्शन और रिपोर्टिंग, इसमें आपने क्या उसमें तदाबीर दी हैं?
जी, ये इसमें बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है बिल्कुल, क्योंकि लॉज तो यस ऑन बुक्स, आई मीन हम कई दफ़ा लॉ बिल्कुल बना लेते हैं और उसका फिर ये पता नहीं चलता कि हाउ इट विल बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड. उसका फर्स्ट स्टेप जी यही है कि पीपल शुड बी इन्फॉर्म्ड. आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में 25A अबाउट कंपल्सरी एजुकेशन डाला गया जी 2010 में. द फर्स्ट कैंपेन ऑन कंपल्सरी एजुकेशन वी सॉ ड्यूरिंग 2013 के जो इंतखाबात थे, पहले इंतखाबात जो 2013 में हुए, उसमें पहली दफ़ा लोगों को पता चला कि कंपल्सरी एजुकेशन की कोई चीज़ बनी है इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, और लॉज जो हैं उसके बाद बने 2014 से ऑनवर्ड. मतलब देयर वाज अ गैप बिटवीन व्हाट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सेड एंड व्हाट वाज देयर इन द लॉ, और फिर उसके बाद उस लॉ का लोगों को पता चलना. तो इसमें मैं समझता हूँ कि कोई भी जब रिफॉर्म की जाती है तो उसमें फर्स्ट स्टेप जो है वो यही है कि लोगों को इन्फॉर्म किया जाए, एंड इट शुड बी मेड ईजियर फॉर them to file a complaint. If it is really difficult, मैं just एक उसके तौर पे कोट करना चाहता हूँ एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे कि अगर हॉटलाइन जो गवर्नमेंट ने कोई बनाई है वो 9 से 5 बजे तक है, इसका मतलब ये है कि we don't want people to file a complaint. It should be open all the time so that they can at least.
Is there a hotline? I didn't know.
No, there is a hotline in Punjab at least 1314, and on that you can file a complaint about anything related to the labor law. लेकिन उसमें मसला यही है कि अगर वो 9 से 5 बजे तक है तो effective worker or any worker who is doing work at an office, I mean, they would not want to file a complaint during the hours when they are at the office. Obviously, they want to do it afterwards, and if it is afterwards, then that hotline is not available. तो एक तो important यही है जी कि लोगों को inform किया जाए कि ये law exist करता है. मुझे वैसे ये लगता है कि once you inform people, most a reasonable number of employers and individuals, they would like to comply with the law. Once they are informed कि this is the new law, मैं आमतौर पे example ये quote करता हूँ कि it is similar to like we have locks outside our houses. They are for normal people. If there's really a person who is going to rob, obviously then they can come in at any time. But generally, people are safe when they put a lock on their house. Similarly, once you have a legislation, the state has shown that this is important to them, and they have set higher penalty, reasonably higher penalties, because यहाँ पे concept है, हम कहते हैं कि our penalties are so low that the person would say, yes, I'm fine with paying the penalty than complying with the law. So yes, I mean, if you've set the penalty at a reasonably higher level and informed people कि ये new law exist करता है, a reasonable number would comply already. And then, yes, it make it easier for the people to file a complaint.
You shared some statistics with us, and I was quite shocked कि एक तो दुनिया भर के उसमें रैंकिंग होती है, लेकिन पाकिस्तान रैंक्स लोएस्ट अमंग साउथ एशियन नेबर्स. दैट इज़ वेरी वेरी अलार्मिंग. मतलब साउथ एशिया में तो दूसरे ममालिक भी बहुत गरीब हैं. मेरा इत्तेफाक हुआ है, स्पेशली जैसे बांग्लादेश हो गया. द पॉवर्टी इज रियली स्टार्क, यू सी इट ऑन द स्ट्रीट्स. ओके, वी हैव नॉट बीन टू इंडिया, बट apparently there also.
Yes.
And other countries you do see, but why Pakistan?
मेरे ख्याल में फंडामेंटल जो है वो हमने अपनी उस रिपोर्ट में भी उसको कोट किया. It's part of the work that we do with the age indicator foundation. What we do is that we compare labor legislation in 145 countries on 10 indicators and 46 sub-indicators. And they are all based on the UN conventions and ILO conventions. The reason we have a low score is that, and we highlighted in our report as well, that abundance of labor legislation does not mean you are compliant with the ILO conventions. As I said, we have more than 50 pieces of labor legislation in each province to govern the labor market, to regulate the labor market. लेकिन वो सारे inconsistent and incoherent थे, जिसकी वजह से जब आप एक law में देखते थे तो आप कहते थे okay जी मैं इसको score 1 कर सकता हूँ. But then you see another law and say no, they need to be scored 0 because it is inconsistent and the person will not be able to exercise their right properly. तो ये वजह है. Yes, it's unfortunate, but the good thing is that with Punjab Labour Code, I'm sure we will at least in terms of law, we will be near European countries in terms of law.
So, Center for Labour Research, significant role has been drafting the Punjab Labour Code.
Yes.
मुझे इसमें इंक्लूसिविटी पे थोड़ा सा बताइए कि हमारी वर्कर की डेफिनेशन में क्या-क्या है जो अब पहले नहीं था और अब आ गया है.
जो फंडामेंटल है जी, मैं इसमें थोड़ा सा आपके साथ इसके ऊपर थोड़ी सी बात करना चाहूँगा. हमारी जो लेबर फोर्स है वो 86 मिलियन है जी, एंड more than 80% of that labor force is in the informal sector. What it means is that 65 million से ज़्यादा informal है. अब बाकी रह गए 15 million में कुछ आपके civil servants आ गए, public sector आ गए. तो private sector में जो formal sector है वो around 10 million है जी. तो हमारे जो भी आज तक लेबर लॉज हैं वो सारे फॉर्मल सेक्टर के लिए, इनफॉर्मल के लिए हैं भी नहीं. द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट द पंजाब लेबर कोड डिड is it did what you already said. It covered everyone who works, irrespective of their place of work. तो उसने कहा कि जी होम बेस्ड वर्कर्स भी कवर्ड हैं. होम बेस्ड का लॉ खैर सूबों में था पहले भी, डोमेस्टिक वर्क का लॉ पंजाब में पहले भी था, बट देन दे आल्सो कवर्ड कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर्स, दे आल्सो कवर्ड द प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स, दे आल्सो कवर्ड यंग वर्कर्स. जो हम कई दफ़ा यंग लोग डिग्री के दौरान किसी जगह पे 5 महीने 4 महीने जाके काम करते हैं, interns, and interns are generally unpaid.
Yes.
But then we have required now that the interns should be paid at least half of the minimum wage, and they cannot be kept on the internship for years and years. We have seen this happening, that a person was interned for 2-3 years, and then we said, and it happens more with those people who are in the field of law, that the interns are engaged for years, which is so yes, what Punjab Labour Code did is that now it covers everyone who works, and then it has allowed the right to unionize to all these people as well.
Can we discuss how the ILO conventions and the UN frameworks actually work?
If the governments, employers, and the trade unions, they feel that there should be a convention on a subject. For example, in this year, the ILO, at its International Labour Conference that happens every year in June, it is considering of adopting a convention for the platform economy workers. So once there is a convention, then it is open for signatures or ratifications by the countries.
Platform workers कौन होते हैं?
Platform workers means all those workers who are using an app to do some work. For example, an Uber worker, a Careem worker, a Food Panda worker, a Yango worker. They are all platform workers. Platform workers also mean who are doing online work, working from their own home, but they are working with a company maybe in US or somewhere else, but they are engaged in short jobs. 2 घंटे का काम इधर है, 4 दिन का काम किसी और के साथ है, but they are all platform workers because all these companies, they claim that we don't have an employment relationship. We are just connecting two people. मिसाल के तौर पे जनरल जो एक व्यू है वो ये है कि ऊबर या कोई भी इस तरह की कंपनी जो है वो ये कहती है कि we are just connecting the driver with the consumer. हमारा इसमें रोल कोई नहीं. But then counter argument that we used in जब हमने इस पे काम किया पंजाब लेबर कोड पे, वो ये कि जी बिकॉज यू चार्ज अ कमीशन, यू आल्सो टेल देम हाउ टू बिहेव वगैरह वगैरह। खैर, तो जब कोई कन्वेंशन आ जाती है तो जी वंस अ कंट्री साइंस इट और रेटिफाइज इट, तो उसको उसके मुताबिक अपने लॉज को चेंज करना होता है। बट देन दे आर फंडामेंटल कन्वेंशंस एज वेल। वो फंडामेंटल कन्वेंशंस दे आर रिलेटेड टू the right to unionize, collective bargaining, child labor, forced labor, the right to equal treatment and safety and health. They are मतलब ये कुछ कन्वेंशंस हैं जिनके बारे में ये है कि अगर आपने रेटिफाई ना भी की हों, फिर भी द कंट्री हैज़ टू रिफॉर्म इट्स लेबर लेजिस्लेशन इन लाइन विद दोस कन्वेंशंस।
सोशल प्रोटेक्शन हमारे हमेशा से बहुत वीक रही है। हेल्थ केयर नहीं मिलना, एजुकेशन का, एंड वेरियस अदर थिंग्स, इवन यू नो योर पेंशन एंड ऑल। कोई वन विंडो इसका हो सकता है?
यस, जब हमने लेबर कोड पे काम किया जी, तो उसी वक्त यही सूबाई हुकूमतों के साथ इस पे भी डिस्कशन हुआ था कि देयर शुड बी अ कंसोलिडेटेड सोशल प्रोटेक्शन कोड एज वेल, at least that part of the social protection which is related to your employment, क्योंकि अभी social security institution separate हैं, worker welfare fund separate है, employees old age benefit institution separate है. So there's always a confusion in the sense कि एक worker social security institution के साथ registered है, employees old age benefit के साथ नहीं है. इसका मतलब ये है कि during the employment अगर हादसा हो गया या if the person is sick, they can get sickness benefit, but once they reach the age of 60 years, they will not have access to the employees' old age benefits. तो हमने ये भी suggest किया कि yes, there should be a consolidated social protection code, but then in the meanwhile, at the Center for Labor Research, we have also been working on the redrafting of the employees' old age benefits law. ये 1976 का law है जी पहला, तो अभी उसको 50 years पूरे हुए तो हमने कहा कि इसमें रिफॉर्म्स की गुंजाइश है। आई विल कोट जो उसकी सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ जो हम करने जा रहे हैं वो ये है कि वी आर सेइंग कि इन द एम्प्लॉयज ओल्ड एज बेनिफिट वी नीड टू कवर फर्स्ट द सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड वर्कर्स, allow them to self-register and pay the contributions. What the government can do is that कि अगर वो जनरली एक वर्कर को कहती है कि आप 2,400 रुपया हर महीने का दें तो इनसे आप कम ले लें, but then give them something once they reach a number age, मतलब अगर वो 60 साल के होते हैं। दूसरा and that's really we have been thinking of doing for a long time was to cover housewives. Why? Because a man or any person who is doing employment outside, they will have a pension. But the person who spent their whole life taking care of the family, taking care of the household, they don't have access to anything. And the most important thing is that women have a longer life expectancy. They need pensions. They need to be covered, but not through Benazir Income Support Program. They need to be covered through a pension which they have a right to, which should not be limited to that, yes, this government, if there is a supportive government, they would like to give it, otherwise it can be taken away. And the most important is also the category of our workers who are working in different countries. They are sending us remittances. They are unskilled workers. They will return once there's an accident or once they reach an age of 60 years or even beyond, and then they will not have any savings because whatever they sent has been consumed. So we need to cover them.
I'd like to come back on that. Housewives and women who are basically looking after the entire care economy.
Yes.
And they still go unrecognized.
Yes.
हमारी care economy बहुत बड़ी है.
जी, ऐसे.
From old parents, हमारे कोई old age के घर नहीं हैं, ऐसे amenities नहीं हैं. So ये सारा burden हमारी ख़वातीन पे ही आता है. And many of them leave their jobs to get engaged, and it is unpaid. Or even if they were to hire somebody and they probably have a higher capacity to earn more money, they still choose to do that.
Yes.
लेकिन हमारे यहाँ अभी तक जो है struggle, ये हमारा एक तरह से care economy का issue है. But I'd like to ask you about the status of gender equity in Pakistan, especially in, well, अभी तक फॉर्मल सेक्टर हमारा स्ट्रगल कर रहा है, तो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर की क्या बात करें?
Yes, this is a reality that the female labor force participation in this country is one of the lowest, 24%. The labor force participation of the males is around 80%, 80 to 83%. जो दो तीन चीजें बार बार सामने आती हैं जी, वो ये है कि in some way if the care burdens are reduced for women, if they have a transport facility, they have labor force participation can increase. But then there will still be a role to be played by the social norms. Social norms are still there. But I mean, we all know already that, I mean, females are quite high in number when you look at universities, but then you don't see them anymore in the labor market. Where do they go? The first thing that comes to mind is that it's the social norms that are playing their role. Social norms को तो खैर change होने में time लगेगा, but what the state can do is that to reduce the care burden. जो सबसे पहला step है वो ये कि if it is about child care, ensuring that low cost child care centers exist in the cities. और हमने ये देख लिया है कि चाइल्ड केयर सेंटर्स बनाना कोई इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं है, बिकॉज इन 2019 द गवर्नमेंट वाज एबल टू create overnight the shelter homes for the homeless on the state lands. What I'm trying to say is that the state lands exist in all cities, and child care centers can always be built even overnight for people where they can place their children after the school hours, so that a young woman does not have to leave their employment or the job, whatever they are doing, just because they have to take care of the children after school hours.
What is the status of Punjab Labour Code as well as Sindh Labour Code?
The good news is that Punjab has taken the lead. I mean, both the provinces got their drafts in 2024. Punjab legislature has passed the Punjab Labour Code on 10th of February. As for the Sindh Labour Code, it is still pending with the cabinet, although the laws are a bit similar, but yes, there are some differences in that, but hopefully Sindh will also move forward.
जो हमारे ओवरसीज लेबर है, पाकिस्तान से अक्सर यहाँ से जाते हैं, लेकिन यहीं पे कॉन्ट्रैक्टर होता है जो उनको हायर करता है, अक्सर उसका कोई भाई या रिश्तेदार बाहर होता है जो वो लेबर को हैंडल कर लेता है। बहुत से हमारे ऐसी लेबर है जो कागजात भी उनके पक्के नहीं होते और बहुत बड़ा यहाँ पे काफ़ी पैसे दे के जाते हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स को इधर, तो वहाँ पे उनके साथ काफ़ी ज़्यादती भी होती है, शायद उनको वेजेस भी टाइम पे ना मिले, उनको होल्ड कर लेते हों वेजेस को। तो जब ऐसा वर्कर जो बहुत नाखुश हो वापस आए पाकिस्तान, क्या वो लेबर कोर्ट में अपना हक मान सकता है?
इसमें इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि जो हमारे जनरली लेबर लॉज हैं, एंड स्पेशली व्हाट हैव नाउ बीन कंसोलिडेटेड, जो पंजाब लेबर कोड वगैरह, वो डील करता है इससे कि जो वर्कर यहीं पे पाकिस्तान में ही काम कर रहा है, वो चाहे यहाँ का पाकिस्तानी है या किसी और जगह का वर्कर है, जो वर्कर बाहर जा रहा है वो 1979 का एक लॉ है, उसके तहत डील होना है। एंड उसके तहत यस, वो जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जिसने उसको बाहर भेजा वो भी उसके तहत ही रेगुलेट होता है, मतलब दैट हैज़ टू बी रजिस्टर्ड विद द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ OPHRD। तो अगर उसको कोई कंप्लेंट हो तो वो उस कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के खिलाफ बिल्कुल कंप्लेंट की जा सकती है। लेकिन उससे पहले मैं एक और चीज़ बताना चाहता हूँ कि गवर्नमेंट ने रिसोर्स सेंटर्स अब बना दी हैं, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ा इशू यही होता था कि वर्कर को इधर से ले जाया जाता था, उसको कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किसी और लैंग्वेज में होता था, उसको पता नहीं चलता था कि लिखा हुआ क्या है। उसको कहते थे कि फॉर एग्जांपल 2000 रियाल तनख्वाह होगी, उधर जाके पता चला कि 2000 नहीं थी, 200 थी। तो मतलब तो अब जो है रिसोर्स सेंटर्स गवर्नमेंट ने बनाए हैं डिफरेंट सिटीज़ में, जिसमें कोई भी इंडिविजुअल अगर एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए बाहर जा रहा है तो एक तो अपना कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वो वहाँ पे जाके उनको दिखाता है और उनसे वो उसको सारा समझाते हैं कि इसमें ये कुछ लिखा हुआ है, वहाँ के लोकल लॉ के तहत आपके ये राइट्स हैं। अब तो आपको ये पता, मतलब ये कम से कम गवर्नमेंट ने इंश्योर कर दिया कि नो वन लीव्स द कंट्री विदाउट नोइंग व्हाट इज इन देयर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्या लिखा हुआ, राइट्स क्या है। ये मतलब अब अगर किसी को नहीं पता चला तो मे बी दे वेंट थ्रू नॉन रेगुलर रूट्स, कि मतलब वो जो आमतौर पे गवर्नमेंट का जो तमाम काम है उसमें वो शामिल ही नहीं हुए, वो जो किसी और तरीके से गए हैं। तो यस, अगर उनको उसके खिलाफ कोई कंप्लेंट है तो दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू फाइल अ कंप्लेंट इन द लेबर कोर्ट, लेकिन यस गवर्नमेंट के डिफरेंट जगह हैं जहाँ पे वो अपनी फाइल कर सकते हैं कंप्लेंट, और वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जो है उसका लाइसेंस कैंसिल किया जा सकता है, यस, ऑन दैट बेसिस।
So what's next for Center for Labor Research? कौन से ऐसे एरियाज हैं जो आप समझते हैं कि जिसमें कमी है और यहाँ पे काम अभी भी बहुत बाकी है?
There are two things that we are working on. Well, one is the employees old age benefits का जो law है उसको हम redraft कर रहे हैं, जैसे मैंने अर्ज किया कि and these are the three categories that we would like to add. We hope to have a proper consultation on that in the coming weeks, and उसमें important यही है कि self-employed workers को add किया जाए, those who are taking care of the households, generally ख़वातीन हैं, उनको add किया जाए, and then the workers who are serving this country by sending remittances, overseas Pakistani workers, उनको add किया जाए। एक तो ये है, दूसरा, yes, I mean we were able to add a lot of the informal sector workers in the Punjab and Sindh labor codes. I'm happy, but there was one chapter that we had added and it was later on taken out, that is about the religious workers, those who are serving in the mosques, in the seminaries. I believe they are also one of the most exploited people, in the sense that they start early in the morning and their working hours, like the platform workers, they have to be somewhere at a very specific time.
That's in the name of discipline.
Yes, yes, but then they are not being paid any minimum wage even, and there are nearly 2 million people working in this, because गवर्नमेंट का अपना डेटा कहता है कि जी पाकिस्तान में 6 लाख मॉस्क्स हैं, 6 लाख। तो अगर 6 लाख मॉस्क्स हैं तो उसमें हम ये अज्यूम करते हैं कि कुछ में एक बंदा होगा, कुछ में 3-4 लोग भी होते हैं। तो we are talking about at least 2 million people who are unprotected and exploited a lot, and the government can easily regulate it, because now every mosque has to be registered through a committee with the government.
Thank you so much for this stimulating and interesting discussion. I'm really glad to know that the Center for Labor Research is working on all these laws, और इतने ज़्यादा laws हैं, उनकी तादाद आप consolidate कर रहे हैं, बहुत बड़ा काम है। 145 countries का मेरे ख्याल में गालिबन ये laws के आपने review किया है। So I'm glad that you're doing this service to Pakistan and their people like you. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.